Alright, Shalom. Shalom. First and foremost, before I begin, I like to give all praise, all glory, all honor unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Macha Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. You surely do well. As always, I like to say Shalom unto the elect. There's a better Isaiah coming back to you with another video. Lord will, it is edifying. Alright, I wanted to go into Revelation, the 19th chapter and the 12th verse. Alright. Alright. It's Revelation, the 19th chapter and the 12th verse. I read from verse 11, and it says, "And I saw heaven opened, and behold a white horse." This white horse, white representing purity, horsepower. Alright. So this is symbolic of a chariot. Right? You're not going to see a horse in the sky when Yahushua comes back. Right? And he that sat upon him was called faithful and true, referencing Yahushua. And in righteousness he doth judge and make war. According to righteousness, he is going to judge the earth and make war with the nations of the earth. Right? His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. And he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. Right? So now, I wanted to get into the biblical custom of conquering a king and placing his crown on your head. It says, right, because this is what's going to take place, but spiritually, right? Because we know in today's rulership, there are no kings, right? I believe England rules with a king. Spain, I believe, rules with a king. Italy rules with a king, I believe. Not too sure. Listen, I'll look it up. Today, are there nations that rule with a king? With a king being their head of state. See what Gemini says here. Yes, as of late 2025, there are. Alright. I didn't know this. There are 43 nations that still have a monarch as a king, queen, emperor, sultan, or emir. Well, I forgot the Arabic nations. My apologies. Alright, as the official head of state. Let me see. Some monarchs. It says, however, the way they rule varies drastically. In the modern world, monarchies are split into two main categories: those who actually hold the sword of power and those who serve as a living symbol of the nation. Right, because similar to countries that are presidents, right, like the country I live in, Trinidad and Tobago, the person who makes most of our rules and legislations and laws and all of these things, the one who does the day-to-day governing of the country, isn't the president, it's the prime minister. So it could have country, because I do believe the Britain has a prime minister, that means he would deal with the day-to-day runnings of the country. But they still have a king. The head of state is still the king, right? So they still have the final word, but they don't get involved in day-to-day matters, right? It says, absolute monarchies are true rulers. It says these nations, the monarch holds supreme authority similar to the kings of the Bible. They make the laws, control the military, and often the final judicial authority. So nations like that are Saudi Arabia. The ruler is King Salman. Notes a king who holds total power. There is no elected parliament to limit his authority. It says Brunei Sultan Hassan Al Bolkiah, one of the world's longest reigning monarchs. He serves as both head of state and head of the government. Oman Sultan Haitham bin Tariq holds the final authority over all military and political matters. Eswatini King Maswati III, Africa's last absolute monarchy. The king appoints a prime minister and top officials. The Vatican City, Pope Leo the I won't know what number that is. It says a unique elective absolute monarchy where the Pope has supreme power over the city-state. It says constitutional monarchies are symbolic rulers, right? In this country, the king is the head of state, but a prime minister and elected parliament hold the actual political power. The king's role is ceremonial, focusing on national unity, tradition, and diplomacy. Right, so right, these are countries like Spain, the United Kingdom, Asian countries where these fall under, right? So you get what I'm saying, but in today's rulership and authority, it's been changed, right? The way back in biblical times is your king would have full control over his state, right? But now, when I say biblical time, ancient biblical time, because we're still living in biblical times. But when I go to Daniel, the 7th chapter, is it the 25th? No, the 9th verse, 8th verse, 7th verse. Right. Daniel 7:7. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, the Roman Empire, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. So what made it diverse? The way in which they would elect the rulers, right? Or the way in which rulers would come about. In the Roman Empire would be elections, Senate, deliberations, things like that would take place. That's what that first took place, right? But I won't say first took place, because if you do your history, your research, there's tied back to Alexander the Great's father. Can't remember his name right now, but he would be the first man to institute what would today be known as politics in order to elect the rulers, right? But when I go to First Maccabees, the first chapter, Philip the Macedonian, right? Remember his name now. Philip the Macedonian, you could research him on politics, right? So now, when you read through first of the Maccabees chapter, it show you here, right, that First Maccabees 1:10, there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been an hostage at Rome, and he reigned 137 years of the kingdom of the Greeks. So they must still go in according to hereditary means to establish a king, right? Because that is how the rulership would pass, right? So the kingdom of Judah, if you take that as an example, the rulership passed from David, right, to his son Solomon, right? There's no political decisions, nobody didn't vote. As David elected Solomon as the next king. Then after Solomon, it'll be Rehoboam, and then so on and so forth. That is how kings would be elected, or I won't say elected, chosen. It has hereditary means, right? So now when they go here, First Maccabees 8 and 15. First Maccabees 8 and 14. Yet for all this, none of them wore a crown or was clothed in purple to be magnified thereby. Moreover, how they had made for themselves a senate house, wherein 320 men sat in council daily, consulting always for the people, to the end that they might be well ordered, and that they committed their government to one man every year. So there's always more diverse and all the rest, right? These were the rulership wasn't, the same as the other kingdoms before them. It says they committed their government to one man every year who ruled over all their country, and that all were obedient to that one, and there was neither envy nor emulation among them. Right? So now, with that being said, right? According to biblical times, so historical biblical times, you could say, wanted to get into Revelation 19 and 12, where he had many crowns upon his head and a name that no man knew, could links together, right? It says in the Bible, the custom of taking a crown from a conquered king and placing it on the victor's head is a powerful legal and symbolic act known as a translation of the kingdom. It was not just about looting gold, it was a formal declaration that the authority, sovereignty, and the people of the defeated nation had been transferred to the conqueror. And this is what Yahushua is going to do. Right? The scripture talk about the kingdom of this world and become the kingdom of our power and his anointed. I think that is in Revelation. Revelation 11 and 15. It says, the seven angels sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his anointed, and shall reign forever and ever. Right? And how would that take place? Because he coming back in righteousness to judge and make war. So it's not going to be everybody, how they would have an alien invasion to show it, because this is going to be an alien invasion, so-called alien invasion, but the aliens, because aliens just go back into foreign entity or extraterrestrials, right? Extra meaning something added onto, and terrestrial references the earth. So if you leave from the heavenly realm to come to the earthly realm, you would be considered an extraterrestrial. So these extraterrestrial beings, so-called, right, which is the angels, the Yahushua, the elect, them coming back here to war. It's the war. It's not you would have that, this cliche scene in movies where, aliens come to the planet and we come in peace, and, you make a treaty, and, we planetary team, the earthly realm, in agreement with our next realm from somewhere in space. No, there's not a movie, but it's not gonna take place like that. Alright? So it reads, it's literally war. You're gonna come and forcefully take the kingdom. Alright? The first point, it says a key biblical example, King David. It says the most famous instance of this occurs in 2 Samuel, the 12th chapter and 30th verse. It is repeated in 1 Chronicles 2:20 and 2. After Joab besieged the Ammonite capital of Rabbah, David arrived to finalize the victory. It says, David took the crown from there. I'll read a little more into that. I read it in the GNT. I read it in the nice one. see the other translation. So second, no, First Samuel, Second Samuel 12, and then see from 28. Right now there. Second Samuel 12 and 26, and Joab fought against Rabbah of the children of Ammon and took the royal city. And Joab sent messengers to David and said, I have fought against Rabbah and taken the city of waters. Now therefore gather the rest of the people together and encamp against the city and take it, lest I take the city and it be called after my name. Read then a different translation. Compare. So now get the rest of the people together and put them in position against the tongue and take it, for if I take it, it will be named after my name. So you see the honor in Joab. He didn't seek preeminence, and he wanted the city to be called after his name because David was so king. Right? David had to come and strike the final blow. David had to come and put the crown on his head. Verse 29 in KJV, and David gathered all the people together and went to Rabbah and fought against it and took it. And then David got all the people together and went to Rabbah and made war on it and took it. Verse 30, and he took their king's crown, symbolic. Right? He now take full control and rulership of that city. From off his head, the weight whereof was a talent of gold. A talent is kaka. So, see if you go into the I didn't get the exact weight. I think I might get it in the Gemini. I'll go back and see. It says, whereof was a talent of gold with the precious stones, and it was set on David's head. And he brought forth the spoil of the city in great abundance. And he brought forth the people that were therein and put them under saws. And under harrows of iron and under axes of iron, and made them pass through the brickling. And thus did he unto all the cities of the children of Ammon. So David and all the people returned unto Jerusalem. And he took the people out of the tongue and put them to work with wood cutting instruments and iron grain crushers and iron axes and brick making. This he did to all the tongues of the children of Ammon. Then David and all the people went back to Jerusalem. So after he conquered them, right, he put them to work. This is what Yahushua is going to do after he conquers all the nations. And this is going to put them to work for Jerusalem. Right, similar to what he did as King Solomon. Right, he established the people of Israel as I think it's First Kings 6 or 5. Let's see. Mm. You see government official. You see government. Officials. Uh, get IDG. First Kings 9, 20. Right. First Kings 9 and from 20. For his forced labor, Solomon used the descendants of the people of Canaan, whom the Israelites had not killed when they took the possession of their land. This includes the Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites, whose descendants continue to be slaves down to this present time. Solomon did not make any slaves of the Israelites. He served as his soldiers, officers, commanders, chariot captains, and cavalry. There were 550 officials in charge of the forced labor working on Solomon's various building projects. Right? So you see, some matter were going to take place in the kingdom. We're not going to be co-signed to forced labor. That's going to take place in the heathen, similar to what David did with the Ammonites. When he take the crown and he take full rulership over the Ammonites, will take place, they became slaves. Right? It says, well, you get the weight here. It says the weight. David took the crown from the king's head and was placed on his own head. It weighed a talent of gold and was set with precious stones. It says the weight, a talent, is roughly 75 pounds, 34 kg. Most scholars believe such a heavy crown was not worn for long periods. Instead, it is likely held above David's head or placed on it momentarily as a ceremonial crowning to show he was now the rightful king of the Amorites. The symbolism. By wearing the crown, David was signaling to the inhabitants of the city that their former king's rule was legally over. He wasn't just a general who won a battle, he was their new sovereign. This is what's going to take place. Yahushai about to become the new sovereign of the earth. Right? Daniel, is it 7:18? Right. It says Daniel 7:18, spearheaded by Yahushua, of course. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom. Right? I tell you, not going to be no sit down and draw up a contract and you sign it over and then it be no. You're going to be put to death, and who's not dead is going to be put under forced labor till the Israelites, spearheaded by Yahushua and the 144,000. It says, shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Right? Going back to the Gemini, it says the second point, it says legal and spiritual meaning. In the ancient Near East, this act carried several layers of meaning. It says public transfer of power. In an age without digital records, the crown was the ultimate physical proof of office. Taking it off the head of the loser and onto the head of the winner was the equivalent of a modern inauguration or a legal transfer of a deed. The spoil of glory. Ancient kings believed their glory resided in their regalia. I believe this goes back into the clothes. You see? Emblems or insignia of royalty, especially the crown, scepter, and other ornaments used at coronation. Right? It says, by taking the crown, the victor absorbed the honor of the defeated king. Divine validation for Israel. Placing the crown on David's head was seen as power, fulfilling his promise to subdue David's enemies. It showed that the anointed one, Messiah, was superior to pagan kings. Right? Historical and prophetic connections. Alexander the Great, centuries later, historical accounts describe Alexander the Great performing a similar act after defeating the Persian king Darius III, putting the Persian's diadem on his own head to signify he was now the king of Asia. Revelation 19 and 12. The ancient custom provides a context for the description of Yahushua in the book of Revelation. On his head are many crowns. Many crowns, not just one crown. It is one crown, many crowns. He about to take over the whole earth. Literally every kingdom in the earth is about to become Yahweh Shai's own. It says the kingdoms of the earth and kingdoms, not just a singular kingdom. Now we know one kingdom spared in the earth, the Edomite kingdom, the Edomite empire, the Edomite rule. But it also had men thinking that them have next. That's what I meant thinking that when America goes down, China have next. Russia, the BRICS nation think them are next. Them are to get taken down too. Them not gonna come and war with Yahushua after Yahushua do all the hard work are taken down. Babylon the Great, no. Them gonna come and war and think they could, them hard next, them go come up into power. That is what them have in their mind. That's more thing them gonna do. Right? Scripture talk about the proud and thou most proud. Thou most proud is Esau Edom, or the proud reference saying who Moab. Who's the modern day Chinese. Them think them are next. Japan think them are next. South Korea. All these nations eagerly. India think them are next. Them rats. Them think they are next. All of them eagerly are waiting the fall of Babylon. Right? They turning the plowshares into spears and the pruning hooks into weapons to go to war with Babylon. Right? The small saying the great. Countries that never would have think to go to war with Babylon before thinking they could come and war with Babylon now. Right? And that Salakia at the end of that war, right, the war of all wars, them gonna have next noise. The Yahushua in the war of all wars. Right? This symbolizes that he has conquered all earthly kings and has gathered all their authority unto himself. It says comparison of the act. Physical act, removing the crown from the defeated and placing it on the victor. A legal result, the translation of the kingdom, a change in official sovereignty. Spiritual message, the triumph of the victor's power over the defeated God's idols. Right, so we know ultimately Yahweh Bashim Yoshai gonna stand as King of Kings and God of Gods, Lord of Lords. There are no more idols. You're not gonna have no idols in the kingdom to come. You're not gonna hear the Elamites worshiping Shiva, the Moabites worshiping Buddha, right? The yin and yang symbol, and wherever all the other, the Hamites have 20,000 gods, right? We're not gonna hear the names of them men, Dagon. We're not gonna hear the names of none of that in the kingdom to come. Is Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, right? Once and for all, it says modern equivalent, a formal change of government or a peaceful or forced transition of power. But it's not going to be peaceful, it's going to be forced, right? And now, to look at the name or rank, right, that nobody else had. He had a name written that nobody else knew. Doesn't mean he has a name that we have no knowledge of. No, that is madness, right? And I think is okay. There's no name under heaven where we must be saved. Is that Acts 4:12, Acts 4:31? Right, Acts 4:12. This is a stone which was outside at 11, outside at 10, so you know who Peter is speaking of here. Set at 8. Then Peter, filled with the Ruach HaKodesh, said unto them, ye rulers of the people and elders of Israel, if we this day be examined of the good deed done to the impotent man, by what means he is made whole, be it known unto you all and to all the people of Israel, that by the name of Yahweh Shai Mashiach of Nazareth. So Peter knows his name, John knew his name, all of them know his name, he's not coming with another name. Whom he crucified, whom power raised from the dead, even by him doth this man stand here before you whole. This is a stone which was set at naught of you builders, which has become the head of the corner. Neither is there salvation in any other, right? So nobody else coming back to save the nation of Israel. Deuteronomy 20th chapter and 64th or 68th verse. No man shall buy you. It's 28 and 68, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again, back into Babylon with ships by the way whereof I speak unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies, for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Well, it's supposed to have how you say, is a word? Contradiction. Because you're going to be sold unto enemies for bondmen and bondwomen slavery, and nobody gonna buy you. That not making no sense. When it says nobody buys you, when you go into that word buy, it goes into the word redeem. And nobody gonna get us out of that slave like situation and position in the earth other than Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. That is what this reference in here. Nobody else could do it, no matter how much Black Panther movements and Black Lives Matter movements and etc. etc. The scripture I talk about in Jeremiah, the 50th chapter, I think the 33rd verse, and all their enemies held them fast and refused to let them go. Jeremiah 50 and 33, that said, the Lord Yahweh Shai of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were pressed together, and they that took them captives held them fast, and they refused to let them go. Right? So we wasn't going to be let go with any movement, any wars, none of that. Is Yahweh Shai have to come and redeem us. Alright? So now, when you go back to the Acts 4 and 12. For there is none other name under Salat, neither is there salvation in any other, for there is none other name under heaven given among men whereby we must be saved. So he does have a name. He does have a name. All throughout Revelation, his name is written. So we don't know his name. What that means, they don't know his name. Well, he had a name written that no man knew. Go to the My Soul, go into that word name. The importance of going into words, of course. It says, his eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, and he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. Right? I wonder if you go get in a different transition. Name written, he has a name written, he had a name on him, nobody. Right, well. Didn't get it, but you had to go into the word name, which goes back to the Greek word 3686, onoma. It says, the name is used for everything which the name covers. King of King, Lord of Lords, everything the thought or feeling of which is aroused in a mind by mentioning, and remembering the name, i.e. for one's rank, authority, interest, pleasure, command, excellence is the. Nobody is going to have the same authority as a Yahushua in the kingdom. The same rank as a Yahushua in the kingdom. Right? The same excellencies and deeds as Yahushua in the kingdom. Nobody is going to save you. Right? Now we're going to be joint heirs, but Yahushua is still above us in the kingdom. Right? So that is what that referencing. That name there goes back into his rank. Right? Nobody is going to have that. No other of the 144,000 is going to save the 144,000. Yahushua did that. Nobody is going to save the elect except for Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. Right? I'll close with Isaiah, the 9th chapter and the 6th verse. Right? It says, Isaiah 9 and 6, for unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulders. And his name shall be called, and that name here goes back to rank as well. Well, name, sham, it goes back into reputation, fame, glory, the name, designation, power, memorial, monument. Right? By implication, honor, authority, character, famous, renowned, report. Nobody else is going to have the same as Yahushua. Right? It says, and his name shall be called the Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty Power, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Alright, of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end, upon the throne of David, upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth, even forever. The zeal of the Lord Yahweh Hashem Shai of hosts will perform this. Alright, so Lord willing, this video is edifying and that you all were edified and close and say, Kal Halayim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. As always, I say shalom unto the elect.